Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Today's shir is sponsored by Reuven Bodenheim, Harav Agoyin Reuven Bodenheim, Leilu Nishmas Avi Mori, Naftalli ben Avraham, also known Reuven Bodenheim is Nachum Seltz's Shver, also my ex-neighbor, lived in my building, tremendous guy. Leilu Nishmas Avi Mori, Naftalli ben Avraham on his 20th Yahrzeit. Rabbi Sai, take a second and actually daven for a second here, or more. This is sponsored by the Saka Family for refuel, shlema of our 14-year-old grandnephew. He's diagnosed at 8 with leukemia. We all thought he had beaten it, and a few months ago he relapsed. He's having a bone marrow transplant today. Please have him in mind today in your tephillos, Yerachmiel Daniel ben Tova Basha. I see I messed up here. Yerachmiel, this is the real name. His name is over here, starts over here. Yerachmiel Daniel ben Tova Basha for shlema. There's also a surprise turning of the daf sponsor. Oh, Leilui Nishmas Imi Marasi Rusbas Mordechai, thank you. I was so excited to say Reuven Bodenheim. I just jumped right into it. One email only today. I just want to tell you real quickly the beautiful thing. Yesterday we were learning about matzah, Erev Pesach. And I came home, and there, I say only in Eretz Yisrael. Not only in Eretz Yisrael, but you find this in Eretz Yisrael. I'm redoing my deck. So a Sephardi from Yid comes in to redo the deck. I know him for years already. So I tell him, listen, I got to tell you this halacha. You're supposed to be makbid on matzah, Erev Pesach, for the Leila Seder, break it after Chatzos. He's like, you're telling me? This is where I go every year. It costs 400 shekel a kilo. And then he goes on to tell me, he says, his mother, who's an almana, she earns 3,800 shekel a month. That's her salary. 3,800, what is it? Like $1,200 approximately? Less, 11 something, 1150 maybe. I don't know what the dollar is holding. That's what she earns. She spends every Pesach 1,500 shekel on matzah that was baked every Pesach. This is an almana. Unbelievable. I thought I got a lot of chizik from that. I thought it's a Hasidic thing. Then I went to Koil. I said, everybody's makbin out here. So we're all makbin on it. Where were you? Anyway, here's the email. Why? Because it's not so. Especially this year, Reuven is saying that if you mess up a little bit on the chametz, then you don't know what to do with it. But especially this year that we said that la halacha, if you want to be makbid, you should do it on Pesach itself, before the Seder. When do you burn it? You can't really burn it. It's also, no? You can't do... Okay. You can't do bittul. Okay, fine. This is from... Rabbi Sai. You can't share the email. You forgot, I'm here. Hello. It's not like I was on the screen. He was like... This is from... Yeah, you can pause me for a second. This is from Reuven Palter. He's a Rebbe in Boston. Rebbe goes to the front of the line. If you're sending an email, Rebbe, pictures also go to the front. Send in your pictures. We want to know who you are, where you're from. Stop, to get to know people. That's what we're doing here. So we have a Rebbe from Boston. He says, the team is as amazing as the leader. I was on Zoom one time for real. I'm a Rebbe in Boston. Recently had a day off because of a snow day. So mainly he was only able to be on Zoom once. I was therefore able to stay up and stay on after. It was really amazing. And how Reb Eli noticed the new face with the brown cabin in the background, then a bit of Jewish geography and putting together someone in the community here in the optometrist that your parents made the shidduch for. The next time, 3 days later, I saw Dr. David Saul in Shul. That's my parent Shatchan. He lives in Boston. He remembered your mother, Leah Shalom, as a special person. I wish and hope to come on more often. In other words, Zoom. Thank you for keeping me in the Daf Yomi cycle. You're amazing and sensing the other's needs, even without a sponsor for the turning of the daf. That's all going to change. Still giving hello and a little recess commercial, or whatever you want to call it. We got a little recess going on for the turning of the daf. Now we're going to hear, but this one is a special one. All the best to you and the amazing team. And here we go, Rabbi Isai. We're learning all about marrow today. And since it's a new Mishnah, the official new Mishnah, in honor of the person who helped rescue the nascent Reb Eli in an unfortunate cesspool mishap, it's the official Mishnah. If you want to sponsor the next Mishnah, speak to Yosef. Ve'elu yirakos she'adam yoytze b'hem yidei chavel b'Pesach. These are the vegetables that you could be yoytze, marrow on Pesach. First in the list, and this is very important, as the Gemara is going to tell us, it goes by the list. Number 1 on the list, chazeres. Chazeres is, I don't have anything to pull out of my pocket besides this, romaine lettuce. That's the most, that's the prevalent pshat, common pshat, I should say. Romaine lettuce. We had a big, me and Libby, we went to the grocery store yesterday, to the fruit store, and right in front of the store was a whole box of romaine lettuce. I said, can I take a leaf? He said, take the whole box. It was spoiled, whatever it is, kind of. So this is romaine lettuce. Number 1. Number 2, in our Mishnah, which this word appears number 3 in a lot of other Mishnayos, betamcha. And that is chrein. Chrein is number 2 in the list. We're going to get there. We're going to explain why is number 1. Why do people eat chrein? We're going to try to explain this. Ubecharchavino. Charchavino is some sort of vine that grows around the palm tree. We're going to have this a number of times today. This is just for illustrative purposes. I have no idea what it is. It's some sort of vine. I can't really, we had it a number of times in Shas. Don't know what the picture is. This is a vine growing up a tree. Okay. Ubeulshin. Ulshin are endives. I know that Reuven is sitting there. He's going nuts now. The more he doesn't know what to do with himself. There's going to be 10 of these. You don't have to put all 10 on the daf. Endives. This could go over here. Probably not going to need it really. Well, maybe in a second. Ube marar. Marar, something very bitter. Not exactly sure what it is. A lot of, I'm relying very heavily on the art scroll for the sugya. They did the research, I'm going with them. Some say it's wormwood, marisa, something like this. Okay, a bitter plant. Yoitzim behen, bein lachin, bein yeveshin. It doesn't matter if it's dry or not dry. The Gemara is going to qualify that it's not really so. The Gemara is going to come out that this part of the lettuce, if it's dried up, it's worthless. But if the kelach, the stalk part, that's okay. Should I take it out of the bag? You can see it on, okay. They know what it is. Yoitzim behem, unless you chassidus, you never seen romaine lettuce in your life. Yoitzim behem ben lachem ben yeveshin, avaloi kvushim, not preserved like in vinegar. And here's a tremendous chiddush that's negeh to us, especially this year. Since Erev Pesach is on Shabbos, so a lot of people are going to wash this Erev Shabbos, and what are they going to do with it? They're going to put it in some sort of bowl, so we have to be careful of kvushin. If this sits in water, maybe even drops of water, and you put it in a bag, and it sits for 24 hours, it's possible for marrow. It's kavosh. 24 hours of water, not only vinegar. According to a lot of poskim. V'loi shlukin, it can't be stewed. It's like a quick type of cooking. V'loi mevushalim, a longer type, which is loizu avzu. What happens is that when you cook it, you destroy the flavor of the marrow, the bitterness leaves. I could take a half a kazayis of chrein and a half a kazayis of romaine lettuce and put them together and eat them, and I'm yoytza. I have a full. What about matzah? They discuss how come we don't have this halacha by matzah, which we do, we don't. V'yoytzim bekelach. In other words, you take chita matzah and sa'ir matzah. It doesn't mention in the Mishnah anything like that. V'yoytzim bekelach shalahen. And then comes the Mishnah along and says you could be yoytza with the stalk, which we're going to see. I'm just going to point it out here that the Magen Avraham points out that it's an addition to the first part. L'chatchila, you should use the leaf. So if you look at chrein, maybe l'chatchila, not maybe, according to the Magen Avraham, you should be using the green part of the chrein, and only afterwards, bekelach shalahem, this is the stalk. It's better to use the green. Why? Because the Mishnah says, v'yoytzin, and by the way, you're also yoytza with the kelach. Ubdemai, which is domai, we don't know if the Amaretz took trumas and maestris, yoytza. Ubemaisarishin shenitla trumasoi. You give the 10% to the Levi, and then he gives 10% of his whatever he received, 10% of his 10% to the Kohen. Everything's done properly. Use it as truma. Umaisa sheni vehegdish shenivdu. And please don't ask me why the Mishnah, I'm talking about a specific person over there, he's going to pipe in a second. Why the Mishnah has to say it again, we already say b'matzah. Okay, Zok the Gemara. Here we go again. Chazeres, romaine lettuce. What is it? Chasa. Chasa in Hebrew is lettuce. So they say that's romaine lettuce. We're going to see, it could be other lettuces also. It's in the family of lettuce. Ulshin, Hindavi, endives. It even sounds like endives a little bit. Hendivi. Tamcha, what's tamcha? Omer Rav Chana, tamachta shema. That's chrein, horseradish. Charchavina, Omer Rav Shimon Lakish, atzvasa de dikla. That's the vine that grows around the palm tree. Ubemarar, miririsa, the wormwood. Tani bakapara. Eli Yerachmiel Daniel yitzbem Pesach. Bilshin, endives. Ubetamcha, chrein. Becharchalin, we don't know what that is. Becharchavinin, this is the vine that grows around the palm tree. Ubechizrin. Chizrin is chazeres, is romaine lettuce. Rabbi Yehuda Omer avulshi soda vulshi gino vechazeres. No, not only regular endives, but the endives that grow in the field, endives that grow in the garden, and romaine lettuce. That's the Gemara vulshi gino vechazeres atana l'reisha. We already spoke about the regular garden variety of endives, and certainly lettuce. Hachi ka'amar avulshi soda kulshi gino. Yeah, okay. Even though the endives have a Shem Levai, so to speak, they have another name. We had this a few times already. If something has another name, like you call it as something extra, it's not just endives, it's field endives. I would think it's different. It's not different, it's part of the family. And it's like Ulshe Gina v'chazeres. Why does it have to say chazeres? Just say Ulshe Gisada v'Gina, fine. Just strengthen it maybe, whatever it is. Rebbe Meir Omer, Af, Asvos, Vitura, Umar Yeroyar. These three things, these are vegetables. I have no idea what they are. Omalei Rabbi Yosi. Asvos, Vitura, Echadu. Those two are the same, Asvos and Tura. Umar, and the third one, Hu Yeroyar, that's Yeroyar. Tana very Bishmo. Tana very Bishmo. Eli Yerachmiel Daniel yitzbem decha Pesach. These are the marrows that you're yoytz on Pesach. Bachazeres. Romaine lettuce, bulshin, endives, betamcha with chrein, ubecharvinin, and with the vines from the palm tree. Ubecharginin, this is oregano. If you want to know what that looks like, I'm pretty sure I have one here. I think so. Oregano. No? Left it at home. Okay. You guys know what it looks like, right? Maybe I didn't print it. Okay. Nishka print. What's next? Over Dufnin. Leander or something like that. This guy. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Well, what is it called? He says that Dufnin is wormwood. No. Yeah, okay, fine. Different things. This is just for fun. Don't bring this to Seder and try to eat it and blame me. Oleander. I don't know. Look weiter. Yeah? No. Look again. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Av Chazeres, Yulin, a different variety of lettuce. V'Chazeres Galin, another one. Kayotze b'hem. Anyway, type of lettuce is also good. Rabbi Omer Mishum Rabbi Eliezer, Av Arkabolin, which is another vine that grows on a palm tree, whether it's the same one as before or a different one, another variety. V'chizarti al kol tamidov. I went to look for any Talmud of Rabbi Eliezer that could back me up, but I couldn't find anyone. I said, yes, you're right, this vine is part of the marrow. It could be yaitz marrow. Rabbi Yehuda Omer kol sheyesh li saraf. Any vegetable that when you cut it open, you cut it, some sort of milky sap comes out, like a white substance, that's marrow. Rabbi Yochanan Omer, kol shepanav machsifin. It's a lighter green. It's not a dark green, a lighter green. I guess this could fit into that. This also has a lighter green to it. Okay. Acherim oimrim kol yarok mar yesh lo saraf. In order for it to be marrow, it needs to have the two things together, the combination. Saraf, it has sap. Upara machsifin, it has a lighter green. Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Medirei kula nilmad. So if we just go through everything that we just learned from all the Tanaim, from the Mishnah till everything that we just learned, Babs Yaakov, whatever it is, all these shitas, we could learn Yarek Mar Yishlei Saraf Upanav Machsifin. There's one common denominator that when you cut them open, there's some sap and it's a lighter green. Omer Arav Huna Halacha Ka'achirim, and that's halacha. In order to be Yaitzim Maror, you need those two. I don't know exactly how it works with romaine lettuce. I never really seen sap, but I guess there's something. Maybe when you cut it off the ground, there's something that comes out. It oozes something. Yeah, the root itself. I don't think it's the leaf, but something going on there. Zok the Gemara, a Moridika. This is a Moridika sugya. I love this sugya. Ravina Ashkecheler of Acha Berei the Rava, Dav Mahader Amri Rasa. So Ravina saw that Rav Acha, the son of Rava, was searching high and low for something very. We had Amrisa, some sort of wormwood, according to the art scroll in the beginning, some shita, looking for this. Okay, in the list of the Mishnah, this was the fifth one in the Mishnah, right? Like whatever it was. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one. So he tells him, yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Now Avi Mandelbaum is a lot. Avi Mandelbaum is mamish happy now. The science and the Gemara goes there. What? What are you saying, Avi?
You could do a demonstration. You got it in your pocket still, right?
No, you have to cut it from the stalk. You have to get it from the bottom. You can't from the root. He said. Not what I have. This is not going to do anything. Especially that sat out in the sun for a few hours. So B'kitzur, Rav Acha is searching, he goes to the fruit store, he's looking for this mar. Omar Leis, Ravina tells him, my daitoch, the marine tephillos, he's looking for something sharper, something more marordik. V'chazeres tnan. Unbelievable, it says in the Mishnah, Gary. It says in the Mishnah, chazeres. Chazeres is one thing only. Romaine. It's number one in the Mishnah. V'torah debei Shmuel chazeres, and we find the same thing chazeres. V'omer Bishaya mitzvah b'chazeres. It's a mitzvah. Point out. Look here in the Shulchan Aruch. It says Beis. That's what the Shulchan Aruch says. Mitzvah b'chazeres. The first choice of maror should be romaine lettuce. V'omer Rabba my chazeres chasa. It's lettuce. My chasa. Why is it called chasa? The chos rachmani lavan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had rachmanis on us. Took us out of Mitzrayim. If you Chassidish, don't feel uncomfortable now. I'll explain a little bit. I'll try to help you out. Why are the Mitzrayim like Mar loy malach? Maror, it starts out soft, the leaf is soft, and then it becomes hard at the bottom. Av Mitzrayim, tchilos and rako. So to the Mitzrayim, they initially paid Klal Yisrael to work for them. Slowly they took away the money, slowly they took away the material. They started out soft, lured them in, and then got them. Omar Lei, amazing thing happens here. He's looking for the perfect maror. He hears what Ravina has to say. Omar Lei, Hadri B, I'm done. I'm going to use romaine lettuce from today on. So what's going on with the romaine lettuce? So first of all, before I get there, there's a Moridika Maisa. If you had to play Rav for a minute, and somebody came over to you and asked you the following shaila: I have $1 million. Where should I give it to? I want to do medical research. I want to donate $1 million to a hospital. Should I give it to the fertility department to help people have children, or should I give it to the blind department to help people see? What would anybody say? Stop, you're Rav. No. It's not the same thing. Why can they have children? Yeah. Are they alive? They asked this question to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and he says, I have a proof from this Gemara. In other words, this Gemara is Yahrzeit to all of Shas. And he says that the Gemara in Avodah Zarah brings down the list. Exactly what Nachman is saying. Arba chashuvim kemesim, the Gemara says. Ani, suma, umetzoira, umisha ein lo banim. And a list is a list. The first on the list is number one. That's what the Gemara says over here. Ravina said it goes by the list. So what's first? Ani. We're not talking about ani. But suma, blind people come before fertility. Give the money to blind people. I wouldn't have thought that I would think fertility. Help people have children. No. It goes by the list. Number one is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. I thought it's beautiful. So, this is what we have. A few halachas here. L'chatchila, you should use romaine lettuce. It's sweet, and then afterwards it becomes bitter, like the Mitzrayim. What about if lettuce is sweet? It doesn't taste bitter. The Shulchan Aruch Harav and Rosh Hashanah says Yahrzeit. According to the Chazon Ish, you need a little bit of bitterness. You have to have bitterness. So what if you're sitting at the Seder table? It's not so bitter. So Rav Nisim Karelitz gives the eight, so he says you should use the smaller romaine lettuces and the stalk. Those are bitter. That have a little bit of bitter, so go that route. What if it's very bitter? Pasha, it's mamish bitter. It's not romaine lettuce. It's like, you're not Yahrzeit. It's already not, it's not marrow. It's not lettuce anymore. That's not kederach achilasa. You don't eat romaine lettuce when you can't, it's hard to eat. You put it in the salad, it's supposed to taste decent. So, I just wrote over here that certainly this year we should be makbid on kavush. We should be careful that the lettuce is dry before we put it in the fridge Erev Shabbos. Otherwise it could be a big problem. Then, what do we do with the Hasidim? My father-in-law, very makbid on chrein. I asked my wife what's going on. I didn't get a clear answer from her. Why are they so makbid on chrein? When the Mishnah says romaine lettuce. So if you look at the Mishnah Berurah, he says, we didn't have romaine lettuce. We have chrein in Europe. But in America, we have romaine lettuce. So, but Hasidim are very makbid on tradition. But if you look in the sugya, what? Oh, very good, very good. I like that a lot. I only found that out this morning because I was going around like very bothered by this. So why are they so makbid? Isn't it halacha? You should go to romaine lettuce, mefursh gemara hadribi. I took it back. I'm not going to go with chrein, with the marrow. So the Gra says, interesting halacha. If you do chrein, don't try to not put it through the grate erev yantiv because the taste is going to go away. You want to have a nice sharp taste. The kederach achilasa is to do it like right before the seder after you come home from shul. There's a sakana to eat the chrein whole. It's not a mitzvah to put yourself in a sakana. This is the Mishnah Berurah I'm saying from. And he says, I don't understand why weak people force themselves to eat chrein when it's mamish a sakana. So Yisrael Shalitsky sent me, I just read it this morning, another ma'aseh from the Divrei Chaim, and a very similar ma'aseh as the Kibbutz Aveim one. He was at the Seder and the doctors told him, don't eat marrow this year. And I guess they don't have romaine lettuce in Europe. It's a seasonal thing, summer maybe. That's great. So he's sitting there, and in front of his home mishpacha, he takes a whole spoon of chrein, and everybody's like, and he goes, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam lishmor haguf. And he put it down. And he said that shmiras haguf is the d'oraisa, and marrow is the rabbanon. That's the ma'aseh they sent me. Okay, now, yeah, the matzah is the raisa, marrow the rabbanon. So the Magen Avraham, without the carbon. The Magen Avraham says that, like I mentioned before, that if you're going to eat chrein, it might be better to eat the leaves of the chrein more than the actual kelach. And here's one Bnei Yisachar for our Hasidic Olam. He says Pesach is avodah. Shmartim is avodah. Matzah is Torah. I mean kemach in Torah. And he says maror is chesed. Because of chasa, because of lettuce, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did chesed with us. He took us out. He was chas on us. So what's Taka Pshat? He says, Leiby mentioned, and the Chassam Sofer brings this down as well, that the marrow that we use, the romaine lettuce, is very problematic with bugs. It's issa d'oraisa to eat bugs. So instead of to be makbid on a better d'Rabbanan maror be makbid on the dairais of not eating bugs. Now, if you have bodeg lettuce and you know how to check it, then I don't know exactly what the pshat is. But he does say that some Sefer says, the Gemara says, Chas Hashem. He says, I have my own thing. Tamcha equals Tomid Misaprim Kfoid Kel. Tamcha. Tamcha is the chrein. Tomid Misaprim Kfoid El. Zog the Gemara. Otaz. Fine. What do we have? Okay. Omar le Rav Rechumi la Abaya.
Eli, Reuven makes the connection between the list before to this list?
Yeah, that's exactly his connection. He brings from this Gemara, you see that the list is important in all of Shas. So when in Avodah Zarah there's a list of who's Chashav Kemeis, who's more Chashav Kemeis, the number one. In fact, I also mentioned, I don't know if you remember, when we were learning the Mishnah just 2 daf ago, whenever it was, on matzah, I said, Mefurish, Chita is more important than Saira. You make a matzah out of wheat before you make a matzah out of barley. It goes by the list.
No, because I heard the list only matters when they put a number to it. Like Arba, Ashut, Kamei, so then the list matters. But if there's no number, it's just a
No,
random list.
that's the story I heard. Now, I can't, I wasn't there. I can't verify what Reb Chaim said. Not. I thought it's cute. But it doesn't matter, Noam. The Gemara says that the list is important. I forget Reb Chaim. The Gemara says, Hadribi. He said, why are you getting marrow? It's at the end of the list. What did you tell him? He's talking about lists here. So it's a yesod for all of Shas. That number one, forget about a number, not a number. As the Mishnah lists it, it's very important in order in a Mishnah. There's nothing random when it comes to a Mishnah. Who told you? It says in the pasuk on matzah mrorim yuchlu. It's marrow. Who told you it means it's a vegetable? Ema miririsa dechufya. You want something bitter? I'll give you the gall of a fish. It's a kufya fish. Says the Gemara, no, it can't be a fish. Do me the matzah. My matzah geduli karka grows in the ground. Afmar geduli karka. As we're going to see, and not once, but we had a bunch of times. We're going to have it a bunch of times. Al matzah is umroim yechlu. There's a connection between matzah and mar. So just like matzah grows in the ground, so too mar. Veima hirduf dumya the matzah. Hirduf is the tree, says Rashi, that tremendous nace happened. It's a very bitter tree, so it grows in the ground, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu used for mei mara. He sweetened the water with, it's like mechatas almost. You become tameh when you touch it, but it makes something else tar. You're sweet, you're very bitter, you make something else sweet. Because Baruch shows there's no nature. It's whatever he wants. Dumi l'matzah. Ma matzah means zroim. So Gemara says it has to be like matzah. Just like matzah is zroim, herbage. Afmar means zroim. It's not a tree. It's something that grows in the ground. Veima harzifu. There's something like this herbage that's called harzifu that could kill an animal. It's poison. But it's not really edible. Says the Gemara, but you want good geshmak and mar? Here's your mar. By the way, I think the Chas Hashem that the Bnei Yissaschar was saying, I'm just thinking now, if I'm not mistaken, he says Chas Hashem, Hashem said, why is it such chesed? We do a little mar, a little bit, it hurts us on our tongue for a second, and HaKadosh Baruch was moichel us all these averes. I think that's what the Bnei Yissaschar was saying. Thinking for a second. It's food. Matzah you could buy with meiser money, meiser sheni, according to Rabbi Kiva at least. Afmar shenikach b'kesef meiser, so too mar. Maybe it's one variety. Why does the Mishnah list 5? Miroi rim ksiv, plural, many. Maybe it's only 2. Dumi the matzah, ma matzah minim harbe. The Mishnah lists a whole list of matzahs you can make. Afmar minim harbe. Chameshes aminim you can make matzah. Omer Rav Ravun Omer Rav. Yerachmiel Shomrim Chachamim Shalom Yotzei B'Yidei Chavasa B'Pesach. These vegetables that you can be yotzei and maror, kulon nizroim b'aruga achas. You can plant them in one aruga. How do you say aruga in English? Huh?
One garden patch, one row.
One row, one garden patch. L'meimra d'letzbu kilayim. What? You could take radish and plant it together with lettuce. It's kilayim. Mazav rava chazeres v'chazeres galin. If I take regular lettuce, romaine, and put it together with the gallon lettuce, Ulshin endives and put it with Ulshi Sada, with the other variety, Creation Sada, creation, here. Leek, if you don't know what leek looks like, leek, and the other variety is okay. Kuzbar, oh, I remember when we had kuzbar, you jumped up, Mr. Feder. Kuzbar, coriander. So you could plant two varieties of the same vegetable. Chardal, you don't know what chardal looks like, famous chardal. Mustard seeds, and the other mustard, what is it called? Not the Heinz, the yellow one. The French mustard with the hot and spicy one. Chadal Mitzri. So you do regular chardal and the Egyptian. Udlas HaMitzri, Varmutza. Bekitzer, Einim Klaim Zebezeh. You can take two, even though they have the similar name, but they're different variety, you can plant them together. Chazeres Gallon in Chazeres Vushan Lai. But it says Mefurish, you can take two types of lettuce and two types of mustard, but you can't take a mustard and a lettuce. Says Gemara, my Nizroim Domarav, Nizroim Kil Chosan. If you do it properly, maybe it'll make a big doichak. I don't like it so much, but a doichak. That the whole list, you could intermingle them. You could take the lettuce and plant it with. It wasn't saying dafka the two together. Okay, it's hard to say that, but let's say you want to say it. Vomarav, he himself, the author of the whole thing. Omarav Baravuna Omarav, right? That's how it starts. Rav himself says, Zuga Zuga Ktani. It's dafka the way it says it. You don't mix them up. Says Gemara, my Nizroim Domarav, Nizroim Kil Chasan. There's a way to plant them properly. La halacha, that you could plant two different varieties of vegetables. Kilchasim Tanina, but Kilchasim Tanina asks the Gemara, that I know already. I don't have to say it again. So we just turned to Daf Amud Beis, a new turning of the Daf sponsor. Listen to this, by Gedalia Fenster. Refuel shlema of Yerachmiel Daniel ben Tova Basha. Now I don't know if Mr. Fenster, Rabbi Fenster, knows about the Saka family. I know he probably knows them. I don't know that this was a coincidence. I'm not sure. We'll find out. But anyways, he's the new sponsor. So for a month, we can remember to say Tehillim to this unbelievable 14-year-old that needs a Yeshua. Today you should have a refuel shlema. The surgery should go well. So it says, Arugo shisha al shisha tfachim. I'm saying, Mika Amcha Yisrael, the Saka family, the Fenster family, all doing chesed. Arugo shisha al shisha tfachim, zoyrim betoicha chamisha zaroinim. Very simple. So if you have a box that's 6 by 6 tfachim, you could plant five seeds, one in each corner and one in the center. Okay, so we already learned this halacha. You can plant them. Arba al arba ruchois harugo of achas beemsa, one in the middle. Mao the same hanim mili bezroim al berirakis loy. Perhaps it doesn't apply to marrow, kamash malon. Says the Gemara. Now the word zroim means seeds. So what does a seed mean versus a vegetable? A seed means something that you eat the entire seed, like wheat. You eat the seed, like kidneys, and that's why we have a problem with kidneys, because you eat the whole bean. The whole. You don't eat by a vegetable. You eat a pepper. You eat the outside and you leave the seeds. The inside, you toss them out. A bean, you toss the outside. You eat the seed. So a seed, the same thing with wheat. You eat the seed. You eat the kernel, which is the seed. So that's a zera, zroim. Abi rakas loy kamashmalan. Lememra the rakas alima mizroim. That's why I'm saying we're makbid, because maybe this bean fell into the seed mixed with the seed. Lememra the rakas alima mizroim. So you tell me that vegetables are stronger than seeds. Vatnan kol min izroim ein zorim beraruga achas. Seeds are worse. You don't plant like this in one patch. Vegetables you could. So hava mina that marrow you could not. Why would I have such a hava mina? The opposite. Marrow is better than a seed, not worse than a seed. If you can plant seeds like this, then you can plant marrow. But over here it says before you can't plant seeds. Okay, so we don't know the size of this box, but one thing's for sure: regardless of the size, the seeds are worse off than the vegetable. So what it's coming to tell us is that I think that marrow is some sort of seed. It's not really a vegetable. It's a leaf that's a seed. I don't know. Okay. Chrein is a seed maybe. Not a vegetable. Kamash Malon, no. Says the Gemara, I would have a meaning for a second that what we use for marrow is considered seeds, not vegetables, but not. Yerakos. It says Mufurish in the Mishnah. Elu Yerakos. Vitali back up are Yerakos. Vitali B'Yishmo Yerakos. Everybody's talking about vegetables. Who would even think for a second it's a seed? Says Gemara Chazer says L'ilui. It's the romaine lettuce that is the chiddush here. So since the romaine lettuce hardens, and therefore it has wider roots, so it needs more room. So Vela, you shouldn't be able to plant it so close to each other. Kelach should prove the kelach of the cabbage. Shuksha, they became hard. You have to give him 10 times the amount of the 6x6. You have to give him 10 amas by 10 amas, even more a little bit. Alma, keeping the sevila akshois, yavina le'rav chetfei. Once it hardens, it has longer roots, you have to give it more room. I'm not concerned about it. You don't have to. So, this whole thing, where's my marrow here? Oh, this is how we learned in the Mishnah that you can be yoitza with dried up lettuce, dried up things. It's not talking about the entire thing. It's talking about the bottom became dry, it's still edible. But if you ever ate this dried up, the leafy part, dried is garbage. It's not what we're talking about. It's not edible. It's not derech achila. In yiveshim loy. When you're talking about the leaves, they have to be nice and moist. That you can't eat them dry. But only later on does the Mishnah introduce the kelach. How do you say kelach in English? The stalk. Thank you. The stalk. The first part of the Mishnah is talking about marrow and all these things. It doesn't mention anything about a stalk. I even pointed it out. The yoitzin. Only afterwards. The yoitzin, by the way, but the eved, says the Magen Avraham, with the stalk. Not the eved, but it's less of a mitzvah. Cloud the reish alin. So we are discussing leaves. And in discussing leaves, we said that you could use dry leaves. Why are you telling me now you can't use a dry leaf? I'm telling you, I'm explaining. I start off the Mishnah and then I explain afterwards. That's why it says v'yoytzim. By the way, this dry that I'm talking about, the yoytz, is only when it's a stalk. That's what the Mishnah means. Just from this line is a big problem. Yoytzim bohem, you yoytz with the marrow, ubekelach shalem. It doesn't wait for later. It says immediately the stalk. Bein lachem bein yeveshim. In other words, yoytzim bohem with the leaves of the romaine lettuce. You yoytza even if it's yavesh. Divrei Rabbi Meir. And our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Meir. So we have a problem. You can't say that to separate. You can't separate from the way it seems like. You can't separate the stalk from the leaf. And it says that you could eat a leaf when it's dry. You yoytza when it's dry. So the Gemara. We just have to finish it off, but the question already is here. They say no, you cannot be yoytza with dried out leaves. Everybody agrees. When it's withered, it's not dry, it's withered. I felt bad, I didn't grab one of those withered ones. It would have a wither. I didn't see it. I didn't chap. Okay, you guys realize what withered is without the demonstration. Avaloi kvushin, not to preserve stuff. V'loi shlukin, stewed. V'loi muvushalim, and not cooked because it loses its potent mirirus. Klal shadavar. This is the rule. Kol sheyesh by tam mar yotzim by. If it has the flavor of mar, yotzim. V'chol sheyein by tam mar ein yotzim by. So the bottom line is, we have a question. If we go all the way back to the beginning of the brisa, it says that there's no difference between leaves and the stalk, and it says that it can be yotzim with dried leaves as long as it has a tam of mar. Targuma kelach, you have to explain it that it's talking about the stalk, not the leaf. Torah banon ein yotzim bem kemushim. Also like withered. Plando. Mishum Reb Elazar tzaddik amru yotzim bem kemushim. Machlokes whether you can be yotzim when it's withered. Stay away from withered. Bekitzer, get nice, healthy, soft romaine lettuce. I don't know, is there anybody in the world that doesn't know about this Gemara, just eats horseradish because they don't know about the Gemara? They think it's like, that's the Iker. Like,
The only reason they would do it is because it's tradition. That's it.
I know, but tradition doesn't over-trump the halacha l'maisa, I don't think.
When it comes to Pesach, tradition is number one.
Minig versus halacha. Okay. I know, but you have to understand where the minig comes from. It's because the pashut didn't have romaine lettuce. It bothers me. Okay. I hear. I just. I'm just such a. I grew up halacha. Go by the T of the halacha. All minhagim, everything is out the window. You have to. They didn't have it then. Today we do, so we go like this. Okay, I don't know. Fine. I don't want to start a whole thing here. The bugs is the big saver here for me. It just gives me meruchas hanefesh. The bugs. Going back to Ma'aser Sheni. So, Ma'aser Sheni, we had all machloikis. Could you make matzah from Ma'aser Sheni? Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Yisai Glili, then we had Rabbi Meir. There's no question. That was Tashlim, Matzah Deiraisa, Nofik. Rabbi Kiva says you can be Yaitza, a Mitzvah Deiraisa with Ma'aser Sheni. You can take Ma'aser Sheni. That's the 10% that goes to the Yisrael. Either he eats it in Yerushalayim, or he transfers the Kedusha to money and brings the money to Yerushalayim, and then he buys whatever he wants. So Rabbi Kiva says you can buy a matzah with it. So, Hashta matzah the Reis and Ofik, but more the Rabbanan mibaya. So certainly more that's the Rabbanan. Rashi learns the Rabbanan that the Meiser is the Rabbanan. Not that the Mar, the Meiser part is the Rabbanan. Kiti barilach alibe der B'yosei Aglili tu pshatim. Kiti barilach alibe der B'yosei Aglili. The question is according to Rabbi Yosei. Mai. B'matzah the Reis hu deloi Nofik. It's only that he says Rabbi Yosei Glili can't be yaitza with Ma'aser Sheni to buy matzah because it's a deraisa, so he's more careful. I will murder Rabbanon Nafik. Or perhaps, when it comes to the Rabbanon, according to Rashi's main pshat, the Meiser is the Rabbanon, so yaitza. Oidilma called it Takinu Rabbanon came to the deraisa takon. Rabbanon established their gzeiras, their halachas based on a deraisa. And the deraisa they said, you're not yaitza on matzah Ma'aser Sheni, so you're not yaitza mar. Amarava, mistabra, matzah umaror. If you go back to the pasuk, al matzah umroi rechlus. So there's a connection between matzah and marrow. So matzah Ma'aser Sheni you're not yoytza. So marrow Ma'aser Sheni you're not yoytza. So this official catering, the official new Mishnah is in honor of the bris of our Einokol little Shia Leibus, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, who is mentioned in the Daf, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. His name is Yeshua, and his father's name is Levi. Baruch Hashem, didn't throw in any fancy English words in there. Zok the Gemara, Mishnah. Ein shoyrin es hamur son goyim. Going back to chametz here. You shouldn't soak the bran for the chickens because we're concerned they'll become chametz. Aval cholten. You're allowed to boil water in the chametz in the bran. Says the Shulchan Aruch, we don't do that today. We don't know how. The Mishnah is saying that it's so hot that it instantaneously becomes chametz. It loses its ability to become chametz. Says the Shulchan Aruch, but we don't know how to do it so well. So stay away from boiling water. Don't think you know what you're doing. I guess instead of soap, they use a little bran. It's nothing like a shower with bran. If the bran is dry, even though her skin is not, it's okay, says Rashi. Rosh says, what do you mean? You're making chametz if her skin has water on it. So Rosh is learning that it's sweat, and sweat doesn't make chametz. I saw the Chidush Harim says that once you put it on your skin, you mevatel it from food, even for an animal, says the Chidush Harim. She's mevatel it. So it's not a problem with water. He wants to be mefarish Rashi. Lo yilos adam, so is it dafka water or even spit? Says the Mishnah, lo yilos adam chitin, don't chew on grain. V'yaniach hamakosi, in order to put it on your wound, mipnei sheimach mitzos, because even spit can make chametz. Taner Rabbana. Once you do ha'afui, you bake it, then there's no more chametz. V'amavushal, the Gemara is going to retract this in a second. If you cook it, no more chametz. And if you scald it with hot water, and that the Shulchan Aruch said don't do. You put it in a pot until it cooks. It takes a moment. But then that process, it's going through chametz, a stage of chametz for a second. Says the Gemara, we're talking about that he baked it after he cooked it. He cooked it after he baked it. So that's not a problem. Don't think that the cooking invokes a chametz. Once you bake it, it's done. Tanya Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yudoimer. You have a drip going into flour. That prevents it from becoming chametz because it drips. Avi Mendelbaum, you have a project. I want to understand this. You have a thing of chametz, or maybe that guy that did, I don't know who he is, the 24 flours. He has a lot of extra flour. He doesn't have a lot of time in his hand. He said he only had an hour. But drip, 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 let's see if it becomes chametz. And you have to know how to do this. Drip after drip. If you put flour together with some liquid, we're going to see in a second, with salt, it's okay. But it says it's also like asher. If you oil is that liquid, then it's mutter. But once you put water in there, Shalom Yisrael. Have a wonderful day. You have a mazel tov? Yisrael Simon. With this Israel and Kol HaBnei Yisrael.